Hi, everyone. This is Leanne, and this is From the Heart. And today I have a friend, my friend Pushkar, who I am interviewing today. We're going to have a conversation and record it. And today's a lighter episode. We're just going to speak of like practices and things to do when things get tough or before things get tough, so that you're a bit more practiced before, life hits hard or harder. And there's lots of stuff going on in the world right now, and I think we're all watching and absorbing, and it's good to just like come back to the self and notice what's going on here and how we're affected by it, and is it really true to us? And if it is, that's great, and if it's not, then and how can we let that go, or how can we just come back to what feels true, and maybe not necessarily good, but just what feels true, So Puskar's a friend, and we've known each other for like a year and a half, and we were like instant friends. I think the first day we met, we were on a trampoline, like being like tigers, playing like tigers and like roaring at each other. So it feels really good for me to have you on my podcast, and maybe we can roar together during the episode at some time if it feels good. Because it's good to roar. It feels really good to open up the throat chakra and like make like different noises and to move that, So anyways, Pushkar, do you want to tell the listener who you are and what you love doing in life?
Yeah. But first, that part about roaring just lit me up. And I'm glad you brought us back to that memory. And I've been actually watching your content, and I appreciate how it's raw and real here. So with that, my name is Pushkar, and I help people to get from here to there. Here means the sticky web of societal expectations and the shame and the fear, and how it weighs us down, and going from here to there meaning just having the tools and techniques to stop putting off those layers of shame and guilt and connecting with our true self. So I'm like that, caring and loving human who will tell you that you have spinach in your teeth and I'll also hand you a toothpick while you sit and chew on those life's hard situations. That's kind of like me.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that description. It's so flowy and real and fun. You were saying how like what you do is to bring people out of the shame and guilt and stuff. And like that, I love that, because I feel that we live in a culture, and this is worldwide. This is not just like here in North America, or where you are in India, right, right around the world from us. But basically, like we live in a world where we have put hierarchy, not hierarchy, authority above
Yeah.
us, and we go everywhere thinking that someone has authority around us. And sometimes there is a time and a place to say, oh, this is not where I'm the expert, but like if it affects you, you're allowed to choose what you do, to your body or to your life or to your family, that kind of thing. So I think it's really important to bring back this hierarchy and level it out. We're all important, and we all have a place of leadership, and leadership is different than authority. Leadership is saying, this is where my knowledge, this is where I know, this is what comes out of me, this is what I want to help the like people do, right? But then authority is telling people what to do and not letting them lead through their own inner authority. So that's like super important to me. That's why I became a midwife, and that's also why I left being a midwife, because people were putting a lot of their authority on me, and what I was saying didn't feel right anymore. Like what I was recommending didn't feel good. So yeah. So that made me, we're gonna talk about like coming back to the heart, but that made me, I had to come back to my heart and say, how is this making me feel when I'm telling people, giving people recommendations that I don't believe in? It felt like vinegar coming out of my mouth when I was giving these recommendations. Yeah, exactly. So let's start with that, like practices um, that helps us come back to our heart. And our heart doesn't necessarily always feel good. Like it's not always playful inside. Sometimes it really is a yuck.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, usually when people say that coming back to heart, that could mean so many things. So I'm curious, when you say coming back to heart, do you mean like, just how do people move through things, or because I can say I'm trying to come back to the heart, and I could be moving through anger, I could be moving through grief, I could be moving through all things. So usually when I'm asked something like this, it's in the direction of whatever you need to move through whatever you're going through, whether you feel stuck or you feel overwhelmed. So, whatever you need in this moment to take care of yourself. Um, and for me, that answer has changed over the years. And it also changes on what I'm dealing with. And so right now I've been going through waves of grief. I had a uncoupling in summer, and I'm navigating that. So a part of it is sitting with that sadness, and reminiscing about the things that were good, that were bad, and being in that. And another part is more about, so one part is about loss, and the other part is about restoration. So that is me engaging in the things which I love, I want to do, and having new experiences. So kind of sitting with the grief, what is already present, and also experiencing something new. Um, so that's kind of where I'm right now. So can you tell me a little bit about what does this the question mean to you?
Yeah. So what happens to me is I get stuck in my head and I have a hard time connecting with my heart and what I really want, because it's more like I should.
Ah,
I should stay a midwife. I have the skills and people need me.
ah,
I mhm. um I um things like that, you know? So and it's
lagade.
easier for me because like then I would have continued making a regular amount of money, and I would have like it made more sense that way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. But it's okay. So I get the drift of what you're saying. So for me, if I'm overthinking, then I tend to write.
Mm,
If I am feeling anxious, then I go for some sort of movement. We usually put on a song I like and just dance to it.
mm,
And if I can, I mean, sometimes if I have access, I will dance. Otherwise, I'll take a walk. Yeah, so some sort of movement helps with anxiety. For overthinking, it's writing. And I think if I'm confused, I it's walking, or I or just talking with people. And actually that kind of loops and brings the part about community. And for me, coming back to heart, community has helped a lot in healing. And because in connection, um, I think most of us don't need other people to solve our problems. We just need attention with the intention to be there for us.
mm.
So community is a big piece for me.
Yeah, community gives us purpose, so it makes us want to move forward.
Mhm.
Let's just go right into community, the importance of community when it comes to my lens,
Mhm.
um, as a retired healthcare professional,
Yeah.
community and quality relating are the most important things to do for good health. So we talk a lot about diet and eating broccoli or whatever it is, and
Uh-huh.
exercise, but actually community is first, sleep is second. And so I really want to bring attention to community. It also just feels good, but like I like for the person who's more in their head and needs to have that. We all absorb information differently, but so and make decisions for different reasons. But I just want to bring a lot of awareness to what community does. So, what does community do for you? And how do what tools do you use, or what do you do to keep the quality of the relation? Because it can be hard to relate to family. The holidays are coming, and I know that's a common thing. And um, it's hard sometimes. So what's the importance of community for you? Do you have an example of how it has helped you, that comes to mind? And then what do you do to get the quality to stay up?
Yeah. Oh, that's a big question,
Yeah, I can
and I love
relate.
it. Um, I think community has helped me on so many different levels, like emotional, mental, intellectual, all of them. I've moved to Canada 5 years back in 2019, so I was starting from scratch, and pandemic started in 2020, and I was fortunate enough to land in a community house then. So from not knowing people around me to landing in a community house, like my quality of life kind of shot up through the pandemic.
Mm,
So I, I feel the way world is right now, and you talk about authority, that there are systems in place which would perpetuate that we should be independent, we should handle everything by ourselves, and that's a broken system. Yeah, it takes a village. It takes so many people around us to model different things, and one person, or our partner, or even our just mom and dad, they are not supposed to. It's too much of a burden for to expect from any one person or two people to do everything for us. And I feel that that's where the community part comes in. They are there to reflect. Hey, this is where you are. Like I told you about the, if you have spinach in your teeth, I want to know, and I will tell you. For me, when I uncoupled this year, like my community held me, and it was a beautiful place for me to just let go and shatter, and I was held in that.
mm,
And I think what keeps those relationships real for me is the radical honesty part. Hey, I was an idiot here, and I own it.
yeah.
And having those relationships, and I think that makes the difference. And I mean, there have been times when so this is something I heard 3 years back. I was sitting in a workshop, and it was on relationships, and the facilitator was saying, like, we if you're not in a romantic relationship right now, you go to any event, you do anything, there is that thing at the back of the head, there is that radar which is looking for something, looking for a person. And when that person is not there, you kind of just fixated on that. But how about you leave that aside and you live life fully right now, because there is a chance that the friends in your life, they might last longer than your relationships. And when I heard that, it's like something clicked in me. I was like, oh, that means I want to have intentional relationships. And I got off that call, and I called four of my friends, and I said, hey, I really want to be there with you. I really want to intentionally create the friendship relationship with you, and I want to be with you till you're on your deathbed, or you are around me as I'm on mine. And those four friends are still with me. We have intentionally created experiences together, and that has weathered me through things, and it has been amazing for all of us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. There's a few things that came to mind. We'll see what comes up, that comes out of my mouth. But basically, we went through in 2020 or 2021, 2022. Some of us have lost friends, and I've lost a few. Um, and they're coming back into my life, and I knew that was going to be the case. Like, we're all, we all have emotions, and we all need boundaries, and I really think that love is letting go. And and then people also, like, I also have to trust that people know and can feel where I come from, and it's a place of passion where I come from, and from the heart, even if I'm angry or
Yeah.
whatever. you know so
Mhm.
it's a place that, like, I never would want to hurt somebody.
Uh-huh.
And the thing where you said about radical acceptance, like, a way, like, so letting go is sometimes also like honoring someone's boundaries, because sometimes what they're asking for is just for respect. And so I really think that what radical honesty, or like taking accountability for your actions, taking care of your lane, goes a long way in quality relating. So if you are someone who doesn't have a lot of community or friends and you wished you did, I think it's like looking at your behavior and why you don't have it. And then you can like, and we don't need like million friends, right? We need some, and they're going to change over our life and our course of life. And
Yeah.
um I'm so grateful for the friends who also have let me be who I needed to be during
Mm.
this huge transition in my life, and they just stuck there and they just knew I was processing a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's true love, like being there for someone during their transition. And I find that women changed our lives. Like they say it's the midlife crisis. Like I'm not in my 40s, I'm in my late 30s, but whatever happened to me, I don't know. I don't want to label it either, but I needed like something needed to change in how I lived my life, you know? And I
Right.
just how my friends just showed up and they just like they listened, and they didn't have maybe the same opinion as me, but they were able to be like, we still love you, you know? We love where
Yeah.
it comes from. And I understood that they have different priorities or different things going on in their life, right? So there's we're all capable, and that's where the war is inside of us. Like we're all looking at the wars around us, but I
Mm.
really believe in like looking at the war and the vengeance inside of us. And it's I also so this is another thing that I kind of realize is, you know, when we say like, oh, that person's going to get their karma for how they treated me,
Hmm.
and that is vengeance on its own. It's like
Yeah.
you're gonna get something bad just because you treated me like that. Like bad things happen to all of us. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how Jesus Christy you are. You know, like look at what happened to Jesus and his story. And like good, we all learn lessons, and some are uplift us and some bring us down. So
Yeah.
so I like now I'm just trying to observe when I feel like, oh, that person's gonna live out their karma because of how they treated me. So that because like this part of what vengeance or just like wanting to see someone suffer, even in a minute way, is actually
Yeah.
harming me, right? So
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think, forgiveness. Someone once told me this: forgiveness, if you break it down, it's like, I mean, it's just a word play, but forgiveness for giving it away. And it stuck with me. Like forgiveness is that it's like that old pair of jeans which you keep trying to fit into, and it's more about letting go of what no longer fits you than trying to squeeze into it, and and staying uncomfortable. I mean, I feel like if you when we are able to free that up, there is so much spaciousness created, and then go have what you do with that spaciousness, whether it is joy, love, or binging on Netflix.
Mhm.
And ultimately, I think it's an act of self love, a gift which you give to yourself to, because you don't want to, you want to stop carrying what you're holding, because it keeps on getting heavier the more you carry it. So let go of that emotional clutter. It's like saying that I deserve peace more than I deserve to be right.
Yeah. And being right, there's so many truths out there that
Hmm.
it doesn't matter. Like there's so many truths. And at the end of the day, like we'll never know what was true in the bigger outer world. We'll only know what's true in here if
Yeah.
we pay attention. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um uh,
So paying attention to the inside. I'm reading this book called Existential Kink right now, and it's one of the things it talks about is the great work it's on two levels, and the first level is about unification of the mind, and the second is about unification of the world. Like everything in world is one, it's unity consciousness, but it starts with the first part is unifying the mind, which means that all the things, all the different parts inside of us, the angry, the sad, the little child, the wounded lover, all of it, how can we bring them together? I think that is essentially what you are referring to, just unifying them all, and maybe realizing that, you know, and this is kind of a controversial opinion, um, is like, if we look at the world, there are the good things, and there's also very challenging stuff. There is poverty, there is war, there is crime. And if for a second we try to believe that, God, and this is God's game board, and he's loving it all. So if he's loving it all, that means he has a thing for the war, the crime, and all the things too. And if I am a representation of God, as we say in many different doctrines, religions, and stuff, then maybe there's a part of me which likes all those things too. And I feel that is incredibly relieving, because then I don't need to hold on to this thing that, oh, I'm just a good person, oh, I'm just this. And then I'm able to accept that, oh yeah, there's a part in me which is like a Dracula, which wants to just suck the, suck the world dry. There's a part of me which is destructive, there's a part of me which is a rebel.
Mm.
And that feels easeful, that feels more accepting, and that feels like, okay, now I'm accepting my incarnation. I'm here for the long ride, I'm here for the complete experience.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, like I was talking to someone else and like accepting the violent part of us.
Yeah.
And if we can channel violence or aggression in a productive way, we can get a lot done.
Yeah.
Because so like the warrior archetype, the mother
Yeah.
archetype, the fierce woman, right? The fierce woman is the mother. Protection, the protector, those need violence or aggression. They need, they're all different, but they can get a lot done. And aggression can come out through our voice. It can come out in our movement, our growl. Oh, like I
Yeah.
like this. This world makes me angry. Like, look at what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
Like there's and then there's like different ways of channeling it when it needs to move, through the body, um martial arts or whatever, and then when we move through the shadow of that, the violence, and we see, yeah, it changes our perception of what violence could be. And
Yeah.
imagine if we had done that, uh like before the wars, you know
Yeah.
yeah. um There's we were talking, you mentioned forgiveness, which I really like. It was a topic on my last episode, and I really want to dive into into forgiveness, because, I've had to do more and more of it. And like I have to forgive what has happened in the last few years, big pharma. I have it like feeling like I had to leave my job. Um and then what is it? There's a quote. Without forgiveness, we perpetuate the illusion that hatred can heal our pain and the pain of others. Yeah. I've taken a lot of notes on forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, like, there's no need to be perfect. In the book, the Running with the Wolves, I think, Woman Running with the Wolves, she said
Uh-huh.
that a woman who just tries to forgive is like almost a saint. And so I just want to say, like just asking God or whatever, the divine, whatever we want to call it, to help us forgive also goes a long way. It doesn't need to happen like this. And it's like a cycle, like you need to continue forgiving. And
Mm-hmm.
then it says we need to we have this idea of that we should be a certain way, like just perfect and sweet and um and that we judge the way that we act, and then we turn on ourselves, and then that requires forgiveness. Again, it's a cycle. And um and it's just something to I've had to learn that what I give out and the love that I want to give to a child or someone that I do love, my sister, you, like, that I deserve that back to me. Can I give that back to me? The mother that wants to come out of me. I'm not a mom, but just like like it's kind of a big archetype for me.
Mhm.
It feels very natural to take in, to nurture, like, so that's why I was a midwife. And um so for me, can I do that to myself? Can I do that to that feeling in my heart, that inner child, that woundedness, like the uh whenever, so coming back to the heart, actually, so whenever I feel triggered, I feel whatever, I'm like, I see it as that's my inner child, and I'm like, hey, what does it need? And then I go into the feeling, what
Mhm.
does it need? I'm like, does it need to be told that my needs matter, that I'm loved no matter what, that I am good enough? And so then I just repeat that to myself, and then I pretend like either I'm holding me, or my angel's holding me, or my best friend is holding me and telling me that. um
I
yeah.
like that. I like that.
Mhm.
Um, when you said that, I remember the technique which I use. It's called the havening technique. Have you heard of it?
I think I heard of it. Is it,
Yeah,
but
I
tell me
think
again, because I don't remember.
yeah. So it's I think it was brought about by a Dr. Steve Rudden. Um, yeah, Rudden. And I kind of was exposed to it when I was watching something from this hypnotherapist Paul McKenna. So it's basically you're creating a safe haven, and what you do is you put the arms across your shoulders and you're stroking yourself.
Mm.
Yeah, you're lightly squeezing and stroking yourself, and you take a few deep breaths, and then you go to the negative emotion or the challenging place, and you continue to stroke yourself. Yeah, and then you sit with that emotion, and as you feel it, you continue to stroke yourself, and then also at the same time visualize you're on a beach and you're walking barefoot on the beach. Yeah, and what this does is it's trying to it changes the charge level of whatever you're going through, and you're soothing yourself, and you have this imagery of walking on a beach. So then you do the countdown from 20 to 1, and then you stop, and then you check what is the intensity level of what you're feeling, and you
Mm.
can do it again if need be. But for me, at least, I've noticed that my charge level has changes considerably after doing it.
Mm.
Uh,
Nice. I really like effleurage, like what you were doing, like it's like stroking like this, and I
yeah,
like effleurage. It really brings down my nervous system, like this. Yeah.
or the stroking, yeah, light strokings, yeah, oh
Mhm.
yes,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I even like to do it on my forehead and cheeks. Yeah, I can say.
Yeah, the tight jaw. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Um, okay, so you are known, so in our group of friends, you are known as the person who has like all these practices. We call them like ritual. And I'm a big fan of like the world needs more celebration. Whenever there's a friend's birthday or anything, like I want to make a big deal out of it, because I really think the celebration is the opposite of the things that we're looking at the world and we're like, nah, and we're like getting angry at. And to remember that there's so much good, there's a lot more good than in the world than what is on TV, or wherever we're looking at. um and I think celebration is one of the ways. And I also think that celebration is who is it? It was Kazia. Do you remember the person who wrote oh yeah, Unbound? Kazia.
Yeah,
She says in there that celebration, if women could celebrate themselves, and this is true for anything, true, but
yeah,
if women could celebrate themselves, it'd be the end of patriarchy.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So if we could bring back like if you have like it could be for a wedding or for the holidays that are coming, or a little practice if you're meeting with friends. I know that you've told me some stuff over the phone that I forget, but if you could come up with one or two, share with us.
But yeah, but first, I think
Mm.
let me try to parse out the word ceremony and the word ritual.
Mhm.
So ceremonies are different than rituals. So
Okay.
ceremonies are generally outward displays which are in a social, cultural context or an event, right? And they're mostly like occasional or annual. And rituals are more inward. They are symbolic practices which may or may not be public, and they have a spiritual or a personal significance. So, when we have a wedding, it's a wedding ceremony. Yeah. And the wedding ceremony could have a ritual of tying the knot. So
Mm.
many rituals can make up a ceremony. Ceremony is usually a ritual you can just do for yourself. Um, and when I usually create things for friends, and I usually um, try to blend them both, because it's wonderful if we are able to come together and celebrate, and that feels like a ceremony. And the ritual is the deep significance for the person. And there is this psychotherapist whose name is Kedar Brown, and he says all ritual is nonsense. And he doesn't mean that the traditional word nonsense. He means that it's not for making sense. It's not for making sense by the mind. It's something to be experienced through all your senses, what you're smelling, what you're seeing, so that you are able to go beyond the everyday and really experience it in the body. So it's like, if you want to study, you go to a school. There's a spike in there. If you want to pray, you go to a temple. So ritual is creating an intentional spike which creates an experience which is remembered by all parts of you.
Mm.
um, and that can, and I feel like, we need that for all the things, because there it's like, I believe we should even celebrate the mundane, because the mundane deserves as much love as the milestones.
Yeah.
And I mean, this happens frequently in circles I host, where um, a key element of ritual is slowing us down.
Mm.
And when we are able to slow ourselves down and experience the moment to the fullest, it has a significant impact on us. So that's why rituals. Does that answer your question? I think maybe you also asked what to do as
Yeah,
rituals.
yeah. If you want to share, if you have an idea.
Mm, so my favorite one to do right now is creating birthday rituals.
Birthday, yeah.
And yeah, birthday rituals. Um, so this, I mean, I'll give you the basic format of it, and then people can, adapt it however they wish. For me, whenever there is like a new starting, like birthday is like, okay, you have gone around the sun once, and there is a new start. Yeah. So for if you want to start anything new, there is an aspect which is like you cleanse. Whatever doesn't work for you, you throw it away. Yeah. And then once you have thrown the things which you don't require away, some space is created. So then you bring in something which you intentionally want. So bringing in the blessings, and setting the intention. So when I'm creating a birthday ritual, the first aspect is around inviting family and friends, and setting up the container such that, okay, for all the five senses, there is something which is for smelling, for tasting, for hearing, um, something to experience touch. So all senses are invited, and inviting support in terms of guides, spirits, ancestors, and setting up the container like that. So once the container is set, then I could chant some mantras, so specific mantras for cleansing. And if not that, just give a visual meditation kind of thing, where there is a spherical ball of golden light around you,
Mm.
and whatever is not meant for you, that is falling away. Yeah, on only that is what is meant for you is coming through that spherical bubble. And once that cleansing is done, Then we go to the part where you are setting an intention. Yeah. And usually for new beginnings, there are mantras for new beginnings. So you chant that mantra, and so that part is done, and then you have people around you, so now they are giving you blessings as you're starting on the new year. So that part happens. There's a mantra. You can chant a mantra for that, and people can sing out aloud, or people can just give blessings, and that kind of is kind of the spines of a birthday ritual. And it, yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
It actually reminded me of what my family does, and I've only seen it once, and it's like I don't even remember what the name is, but it's a go-in thing that we do before someone's wedding, and like we put coconut on people's heads or like
Oh.
coconut water, coconut milk on people's heads, and we give them like it's for fun. It's we make fun of the bride and the groom, or and then and then there's a like we wish them whatever we want to wish them to. So
Oh.
yeah, I don't remember what it is because I've only seen it once, but um um
So that reminds me, one more thing. One thing which we do with my family here is, for example, someone's turning, like someone's 25 and they're starting their 26th year. So what, instead of cutting a cake or blowing out a candle, what we do is we bring small tea lamps, so small oil lamps, and we will light them up. So there are 25 for the 20, representing 25 years, and there is one more which is the next year, 26th.
hmm.
And then the family is sitting in a circle, and then everyone has an incense stick, and they're lighting up the oil lamps from different ends. And as this is happening, there are some family members or everyone who they're chanting the mantra, and then there is all the blessings in terms of flowers, and on flowers put on the person whose birthday it is, and they are receiving blessings like that. So that's a beautiful tradition my family has.
Mm, that's nice
Yeah.
and simple and
Yeah.
heartfelt. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think my last question, we'll see, but I think my last question is because I really want people to tap into like their own authority. And I think that that's intuition. It's our heart, like our heart and intuition, they're all somewhat related. They're all telling us something from inside of us, right? And so I'm just
Mhm.
wondering, do you want to express how your intuition feels to you and how you might make decisions based on that? Because the intuition is not the head where we are used, and I'm very used to making decisions from up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, how does that feel to you? And what happens if you listen to that? What happens if you don't listen to it?
I mean, honestly speaking, I'm still passing it out. And what I so based on my experiments, what I know till now is, the intuition doesn't really talk much. It is a quieter voice, and it is mostly the yeses and nos. Small quiet voice doesn't speak too much, and it either is a small voice yes and no, or it feels like a uh, shrinking or expanding. Yeah,
Mm.
just contraction, expansion. It's very simple. And so I've had less experiences of really attaining to that, and I have a lot of experience with, like what I think is intuition, but it is just my ego talking so much, making excuses and giving me reasons for why something will work or won't work. So that is something which I've learned, that okay, when there is a lot of talking or trying to convince me happening, that's not intuition. Yeah.
Mm.
Let's see what else is there. The other thing is that, okay, I mean, and there is this technique, the ring technique, where it is just, and then I ask myself a yes or no question, and if this breaks, then it's yeah, then that's a no.
Huh.
Yeah, and if it stays, then that's a yes. Because the energy of no is something which is not love or something which is not meant for me, then the thing is the this doesn't stay strong enough. It breaks. Um, and I've experimented with a fair bit, so um, I believe in it. The other thing which I do is I just stand up straight and try to see whether I'm leaning forward or backward regarding a particular decision, and that has been helping me too.
Mm.
Leaning forward is usually good, and leaning backward is not.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, yeah,
So you really use like somatics.
yeah.
Mm.
I use somatics.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's really
yeah.
interesting. I've never heard of that. Yeah.
Well, and also according to human design, I'm emotional authority,
Mhm.
and which a lot of us are emotional authority, and what that means is not taking like impulse decisions,
Yeah.
and so riding the complete emotional wave, and where waiting is possible, actually waiting and seeing if you feel the same thing at the top of the wave and the same thing at the bottom of the wave, and when you're out of it. So that's kind of how one is advised or invited to make decisions when one has emotional authority.
Mm, yeah. Um, yeah, that's awesome. That's like I love asking people about it, their intuition because it's all different. It's so cool. Yeah, because for me, intuition has been like it's a learning curve, and you were kind of alluding to it with the ego thing that you just said. And when my intuition is attached, like when because I'm the intuitive one, and I know that I can see the future, which is it's really it's really hard to work with.
Hmm.
But when there's attachment to what I'm seeing, I have a harder time getting there. And when I don't have attachment, it comes in and it's flowy and it feels good.
Yeah.
So there's just things that I have to learn with, and sometimes I have a lot of fear with what might come. Um, and then but I have to let that go so that like
Hmm.
yeah, more of where I'm meant to be comes. Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Is there anything like that? Anything else you'd want to say to the listener or to me?
Hmm. I think in terms of just getting back to heart, I think
Mhm.
what is very underrated is spending time in nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, I think the sounds of nature and just walking bare feet on the ground when accessible, but just spending time in nature, that is just so incredibly healing and feels good. Um, Another thing is music.
Yeah.
Music is so underrated, and one thing which I've been experimenting with recently is most of the music is currently it's made at the frequency of 440 hertz, and this is my understanding, and I'm still experimenting with it, so make your own conclusions after you experiment with it. Is so most of the music is made with 440 hertz, and that is an unsettling frequency for us, and that is also the frequency of um, fear and doubt.
Mm.
And so there is this thing where you can convert whatever music you're listening to 432 hertz, and I've been trying and experimenting with how that feels. And in terms of going back to heart, search for the music or search for the mantra which is for the heart. And there are enough. There's enough music on YouTube if you search for just heart, and I sometimes play it and just keep it on in the room for the entire day and evening, and that feels really good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love music. It really sets the mood, and I have to change the music based on what I need and what
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm. That's it.
yeah. Thank you so much, Pushkar, for being here and
Mhm.
giving us insights and into your life and into what works for you.
Mhm.
Um, and thank you to the listener, and have a really good day.
You. You too.